Nothing truly meaningful ever fades with time. Late night television once had a simple purpose: to give people a laugh before they went to sleep. But everything shifted once Trump entered the spotlight. What used to be about humor gradually turned into open political messaging. And if we're pointing to the loudest example of that change, Jimmy Kimmel certainly stands out. His fixation on Trump has been hard to miss. Just weeks before the election, he even made some striking comments on MSNBC's Morning Joe. Remarks that, looking back now, haven't aged well at all. Today, we're unpacking the full story.
Optimistic person. I'm not hysterical. I laugh when people say, oh, you've got Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
I think if you're a reasonable person, it's a stupid person. And that's a bad combination. And I think what we're forgetting, I keep forgetting it, and I have to keep reminding myself, is he's not just running for president. He's running to stay out of prison.
How am I supposed to take this seriously? To prove he's not hysterical, Jimmy actually starts by saying exactly that, only to show the opposite. Classic Jimmy. His fixation on Trump goes far beyond a passing fad. It's like a second full-time job. Trump takes up permanent space in his head, and eviction isn't an option. Watching his reactions, you'd think Trump had wronged him personally, but that's the effect of TDS. Logic gets tossed aside. What we see isn't balanced critique, it's a political rant disguised as an emotional outburst. Jimmy probably believes he's the calm voice of reason, yet when he sat across from a Beatles legend, it became painfully obvious that his dramatic, end-of-the-world theatrics just didn't make sense.
Javier, how are you?
I'm doing really good, thank you.
Are you an American citizen?
No.
You are not.
Can you tell by my accent?
Are you worried at all?
No.
You're not. Why not?
Why would I be worried?
You know, they're knocking on doors.
Hey, I'll come to you and you can say...
I'll throw my body right over you, believe me.
Believe me, Ringo deserves credit for steering clear of the nonsense. Too many people have been swept up by the same mindset, convinced that a second Trump presidency would somehow bring about detention camps. It's all about fear, and that's the strategy. Keep people scared and reason goes out the window. That's the real danger of fear. It's never rooted in reality. It's about control. When people are frightened enough, they can be steered to vote in whatever direction someone wants. And that's exactly why Jimmy seemed eager for Ringo to play along with the Panic Act, but Ringo refused. Unlike other fading stars who simply repeat the lines they're handed, he didn't buy into the apocalypse routine. The frustrating part is that the same tired scare tactics are still being recycled, even though you'd expect people to catch on by now. As commentator Scott Jennings pointed out, late-night hosts have shifted so far that they look less like comedians and more like campaign spokesmen.
I mean, the rest of these people have become pathetic. I mean, they stopped being comedians and they started becoming political activists. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel out here crying. I mean, it's pathetic. And so my question is, if you're going to have a late night comedy show, at some point people might expect it to be funny and not just a constant political screed against one party. And I don't know that this activism for 4 more years is sustainable if you're going to market something as comedy, but the actual product is nothing more than sort of lowbrow political activism.
Seriously, who's cutting checks for these shows to mock the left and its outlandish policies? That's the real issue. They don't. Instead, audiences have caught on to the act, and after years of one-sided spin, people are tuning out. Comedy is supposed to be universal, something everyone can laugh at together. But late-night hosts have lost sight of that. And now the numbers prove it. Ratings are sliding across the board.
During the Biden years, there was nobody that provided more comedy fodder possible than Joe Biden. I mean, he was a walking...
He was made fun of.
He was absolutely not. He was left alone. Harris was left alone.
No.
They got nothing. They didn't get 10% of what they deserved.
He's too
Unbelievable.
At the same time, Greg Gutfeld is rewriting the rule book over on Fox. His success comes down to one thing: authenticity. He doesn't try to fake it, and audiences respond to that, which is why his numbers are soaring. Compare that to the old late night giants, and the difference is striking. Things have gotten so bad that The Tonight Show is now being cut back to just 4 nights a week instead of 5. That kind of move doesn't happen when a show is thriving. It happens when demand has dried up. It's a clear signal of how much the late night landscape has shifted. Even Piers Morgan, during his chat on the Megyn Kelly program, called it out bluntly. And in classic Piers fashion, he didn't pull any punches.
I'd say further, Megyn, what the hell happened in late night in America? When Johnny Carson was the king of late night, nobody knew who he voted for. Nobody knew. He made a point of mocking both sides. Jay Leno said yesterday, he said, I don't like Trump, but it was a great week for democracy. And salute to Jay Leno. I interviewed him last year about this. He doesn't understand why these late night guys want to be so obviously partisan. Why? And they're all partisan one way. And there's a reason why Greg Gutfeld is kicking all their backsides in late night on Fox. And it's because he's genuinely funny. He's a comedian.
Exactly. That's the core of the issue. Late night hosts have boxed themselves into an echo chamber. The moment they stop pandering to the so-called woke crowd, they risk losing what little audience they still have left. It's no longer about delivering sharp jokes or clever punchlines. Instead, it's turned into a contest over who can signal virtue the loudest, who can recite history lessons the right way, and who can check the most trendy boxes. Comedy has taken a back seat, and the authenticity that once drew people in has been completely replaced by scripted applause lines.
These guys think they're sort of preaching to some weird choir that wants them to be terribly serious and take all this very personally when their guy, or woman in this case, doesn't win an election. We don't give a stuff. Just be funny. And one of the things that I don't watch any of them anymore, but I see the clips, they're so worthy. The virtue signaling is so pathetic. Get over yourselves and go back to being funny.
You can see it in the way they carry themselves. Genuine comedy has been replaced with lectures and self-righteous rants. If I need proof, just look at Jimmy Kimmel during that Morning Joe appearance. Instead of delivering humor, he leaned on a display of supposed moral superiority as if preaching was a substitute for making people laugh.
What do you think, though, is happening in the country where you have 2 weeks out, and it's one thing to just look at Donald Trump and look at some, senators, but we're actually talking about 70, 75, 80 million people.
Yeah. I think we're focused on the wrong things. I think we're being focused on the wrong things. I think that there are certain news networks, if you want to call them that, who are lying to people. I think that there's a certain generation of which we are a part who are used to watching television and seeing the white man in a suit telling us what's going on in the world and believing that what he's saying is true.
Their hypocrisy is remarkable. Jimmy doesn't seem to recognize that he's part of the very system he claims to criticize. Yet, for reasons unknown, he continues to act in the exact same way while pointing fingers at others.
That is ingrained in us as Americans. We grew up with Dan Rather and Tom Brokaw and Peter Jennings, and we did not question that what they were telling us was factual. And a lot of people now are looking at Sean Hannity and whomever else, and they are not questioning whether or not what they're saying is factual. And what they're hearing is untrue. And I can understand why they think what they think, because they're being told there's a caravan of migrants coming, and then nobody's following up at the end and saying, oh, there was no caravan of migrants.
Late night television has undergone a dramatic transformation over the past few years, especially since Trevor Noah's departure. What was once a space for laughter and diverse voices has increasingly become a stage dominated by predictable political messaging. Comedy, once universal and lighthearted, has been replaced by moral lectures, virtue signaling, and an obsession with the latest woke trends. Hosts like Jimmy Kimmel, for example, have turned humor into repeated political critiques, often alienating large portions of their audience. What used to be entertaining has now become divisive, and ratings across the board reflect it. Given this shift, shouldn't these hosts practice what they preach? If they truly value diversity and inclusivity, shouldn't they step aside and allow fresh voices to take the spotlight? Instead, many continue to occupy the stage, preaching to the same echo chamber and prioritizing political alignment over genuine comedy. They speak the language of progress, yet when it comes to action, they fall short. Audiences are beginning to notice, and the question becomes, how long will viewers continue to watch before demanding meaningful change? The pattern is clear. Shows that rely solely on fear, outrage, or partisan attacks like Kimmel's have steadily lost relevance. Audiences crave authenticity, humor that connects, and hosts who can balance critique with entertainment. As networks respond to dwindling ratings, it's evident that the old formula no longer works. Only those willing to evolve or allow new voices to emerge will thrive in this changing landscape. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your perspective in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, pass it along to your friends so they can stay informed too. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.